Welcome to Planet Coaster 2 and a long overdue return to the Dream Kingdom series. This is an ambitious project of mine to build a highly detailed classic family park with multiple themed zones. So far we've got a main street down, followed by a western zone, mythology, aquatic and a Viking zone. From there I had moved on to a sci-fi zone, but no video on that area yet because I have had some issues with this. We'll explain more about that in a moment. That brings me to the main focus of this episode, and that's the fairytale zone, where Main Street is finally getting a decent focal point. I am back in this park, and yeah, it has been an awfully long time since I've done anything with it, far too long. And there has been reasons for that I will get into, but initially I just want to say thank you to the person who left me a comment on one of my previous videos. They asked me what was happening with the series and I explained about the issue I was having with Sci-fi, and their suggestion was, well, just park it for now and move on. And you know what? I hadn't even considered that. If something's not working, it doesn't mean you have to stick to that one thing. Just move on and come back to it. So to that end, Main Street here has been waiting for a focal feature at the bottom here. The plan from the beginning was to put a castle here, and now that we've got the fairytale pieces from Planet Coaster 1 back, I can do that. So today we're building a castle. Before we do though, it's worth taking a look where I got up to with sci-fi. My idea was this would start with a crossover between Western and sci-fi. So the Western area is already established. We had a space at the bottom and put a ride in here that incorporates both. For that I thought, why not do Space Cowboys? And I wish I hadn't now. The ride's fine, but look at this monstrosity. I've attempted to make a warehouse, and two reasons for that. One, the ride's a dark ride, so it needs to be dark, and two, it stops you seeing all the sci-fi stuff when you're in the Western zone. That wouldn't look great, in my opinion. But this is not the solution, and it needs a ton more work. In the meantime, I did make a video of the completed ride, and it's a good ride. I even got the lights to sync up and everything, so check that one out as well if you're curious. It's only about 3.5 minutes long, but took a lot longer than that to build. It was about a month, I think, to get it completed. Also, while we're here, do we want to have a look at underneath? I did start building up the area underneath the ride, and I thought that's an innovative way to get the sci-fi area in. Dig down, and it's all covered up then. Concept is, so the spacecraft that has crashed up above has opened up this hole that's uncovered this sci-fi otherworldly area. So the path leads you down, and ignore this. This is part of the ride, and yeah, I've not cleaned any of this up. That's going to be another job in the future. Anyway, the path would bring you down here, and it's going to be totally dark here. Use loads of those star panels, well, more of them. I've already used about 500 star panels, I think, to build the ride. But yeah, all of this underside of the ride is going to be themed, and there's one section, if I can find it. Oh dear, I'm lost. Right, go this way. Nothing looks familiar, it's just panels and mess. Oh, there we go. This is part of the coaster, but it also has a ride within the coaster. And I guess this is kind of a prototype of what I had planned for the rest of the sci-fi area. It's all going to be built up like this with lots of space junk and panels and weirdness. But as I've mentioned, I'll admit, getting myself to work on this has been difficult. Procrastination to a huge degree. It's interesting, I read something recently that talks about procrastination, and part of its definition can be delaying something because of a fear of failure. And that rings true with this part of the park with me. I like the coaster I did, I love the idea of building this all underground, but that blooming warehouse is so awful and janky. Seriously, if anybody has any suggestions what to do with this, then let me know in the comments. I appreciate the help. Anyway, explanation of the absence of videos on this park over. Let's get on with building a castle. First job with this, I noticed the sushi restaurant was sticking out a bit too much into Main Street and it was blocking the view on one side. It was driving me crazy, so I tried moving the restaurant and yeah, that wasn't working, so I bulldozed a lot of it and placed a new blueprint. This now gives an unobscured view to the castle from the other side of Main Street. Next job is sorting out the terrain, so I do have a little moat that goes around the whole of the castle and the interior as well. I've lifted the landscape there slightly, and that's for two reasons. One is this will elevate the castle from the Main Street view, and number two is, well, we need a bridge, don't we? And it's going to look weird if I've got a flat bridge here. Just adds more interest if you raise this up slightly. That's the prep done. Next is onto the castle structure. And this is where I realised that most of the castle structure pieces in the fairytale theme, they're gridlocked. I'm not a big fan of gridlock pieces for many reasons, but we press on anyway. Did a test build off screen from one of the towers, fiddled with this until I was happy with it, and going to use this now as a basis for the rest of the build. Looked at some reference materials from real life parks and what they're doing for their castles, and felt like I could do something that fit in with that, even though we are going to struggle with the gridlock pieces. I'm also placing the key bits of the structure from a distance far away in Main Street, just so I can see that we're going to get that good view payoff from Main Street at the end. For the main entrance, I've kept this open with an archway. I tried a few different pieces at first, and that's before I realised there was an open archway, and they were all quite small. This one's great because it's not on a grid, yay! So I can scale this right up, and none of the guests are going to start clipping through it when they're walking through to the inside of the castle. And yes, I am doing the inside of the castle as well. This isn't just a decorative castle, it's going to have a function. Anyway, that's the first part done. We've got 2 towers and we've got a main entrance panel done. And this is where the annoyances of working with gridlock pieces starts to come into play. A good thing about build groups, and that's what you create when you start working with gridlock pieces, good thing about the build groups, you can merge them together so that they retain some of that flexibility of where to put them. Problem is, they start to do quirky things when you're trying to build with them. When they're merged into other buildings like this, the pieces refuse to go where you want them to go. The roofing was particularly bad, and funny thing about this is some of this roofing wasn't even next to another build group or anything, it was just refusing to work. If you want to create something like this, it's a very fine balance. I'll always suggest when you're working with a build group, do it separately to any other build group so you're getting less interference. For example, some of the towers in this build, where I was trying to build a wall or something underneath it, you go to place a piece and it's jumping to the top of the tower roof. Now, I'm not sure what the controls are on console, but on PC, if you hold shift, the piece should drop down to where you need it to. Doesn't always work. And these balustrades for the roof, oh my goodness, I had such trouble with these. Jumping and trying to place themselves everywhere but where you want them to go. Still, I am mindful of the fact that, at least for the fairytale pieces, this is Planet Coaster 1 content that they added at a later date. And fair play, this is Planet Coaster 1 stuff, so you can't expect too much out of it, and give credit where credit's due. There's far less of these type of pieces in the Planet Coaster 2 stuff. Most of it is either free build or it has a free build equivalent, and so much stuff in the Planet Coaster 2 stuff is recolorable and things like that. I've persevered with this build because none of the other new pieces are going to fit in. This needed the castle structure pieces. And I will say I did have fun when I got to building the towers. I've never built a proper castle in Planet Coaster before. I had a sorry looking castle in one of my very early builds on the start of this channel, and it looked pretty awful, very blocky. So yeah, it has been fun building something. It's a bit out there, isn't it? More elaborate, shall we say. This bit I'm working on now, this is the tallest tower in the castle, so making this a bit more special than the other ones. I want this one to stand out. So an octagon shape, which I'm using one of those symmetry methods you can use to copy it all the way around. There is a way you can do this and have it perfectly symmetrical, but I find sometimes that's just too much hassle, and setting it to an angle and then putting it into place yourself, it's a bit quicker and doesn't look any worse for it. Feels like I'm adding a top tier to a wedding cake here. Few iterations of the very top of the tallest tower. I tried it with a couple of different roofs. And originally I had this as the same width of the lower tiers, and it looked a bit odd from a distance. It needs to be slightly thinner and shorter. And icing on the cake, so to speak, is adding the little turrets at the top as well. Could have added these in other places, but I wanted this to be special for the top central tower. Next objective, this was all the front done, so it's all front and no backside. Good news is, because I've got this as a tunnel going all the way through, it's mostly a copy and paste of all the stuff from the front. Difficult part of that was isolating the pieces that I needed to copy. There's so many pieces now in here that are all merged together. It took a few goes to get all the pieces together at the same time and not copy everything. Did miss a few, so I had to replace them later on, but for the most part, this worked out okay. Next is filling in the few gaps I could see, a couple of holes into the building. I did miss one. I have already uploaded this to the workshop, and I had to do an update straight away because when I looked at it after uploading it, I was like, whoops, there's a massive hole at the back where I must have deleted a piece, or eye blindness didn't see that there was a big wall missing at the back. Anyway, that's the exterior of the castle done. I am going to do the interior off camera because there's going to be a lot of fiddly work involved with that, and I'll jump back when we can take a look. So this is my completed castle, brand new focal point for Main Street. Well, at least good view after I've moved the sushi restaurant back. This was blocking the view a bit. Once you get past Main Street, there's a bit of a path leading up to the castle. So we're establishing here that this is a different section, different coloured pathing, and broadening out the nature in this area a bit. A lot of this is going to be open land and landscape with trees and stuff. I don't want to overshadow the castle, if that's even possible. It's a very tall building and it's going to be visible from every area in the park, which I'm okay with. Unlike some of my other creations, this is going to be visible for guests all the way around, so there's no backstage area. This has to look on point all the way around. Bit fiddly getting the structure in place, but happy how it turned out. So let's take a look inside. Wanted the inside of the castle to look like a castle, basically. So I've turned this into a hub of heavily themed guest activities. Structurally, there's a lot of headroom in here, so got these mezzanines on either side, and that breaks up the space a bit with a bit of decoration as an overhang. Did debate whether to make these sections walkable by guests, but structurally that would have been a lot of stairs, and I think it would have detracted from the overall ambience in here. My typical style though, I've hidden a toilet within the wall here, so yep, they are using the bathroom there. Other guest amenities, I was spoilt for choice, but decided to go with the arcade stuff in here. Appropriately themed up, of course. Shoehorned in all of the castle decorations, a lot of the fairy tale stuff where I could. It is a shame we don't have the princess mascot to match the statue here, isn't it? Now, decoration in the area above the arcade. This is going for the fun, entertainment vibes. So, quirky music machine, we've got the jesters and all the balloons. Decorated to signify this is the fun area, this is where you're going to have fun with the games. Plus the pieces for this are, well, they're adorable, aren't they? Never used these before, they're quite quirky and specific, so nice to be able to use them in a build for once. I mean, look at that, it's so well made. Fun. Anyway, this isn't a full arcade. Decided to stick with the more traditional games, I think that works better in the fairy tale theme. Left out the arcade machines. They'll fit better in, when I get to it, the sci-fi area. So yeah, more selective with this, with the more activity-based machines. And look at this poor kid. Not very good at the hoop thing. He hasn't got one in yet. Never mind. It's not your game, is it? That is the fun of the arcade. Hooks you in and yeah, try your luck elsewhere. Oh yeah, and this, test your strength machine. I've got one of the scary looking suits of armour next to it to put you off. Thought that was fun. Exit on this side, this will lead out into another area, and there's going to be a decorated flat ride. I do have an idea for it, you'll have to watch this space. Other side of the interior here, I've put a modular gift shop. Pretty popular this, which is great to see. Sometimes I have had problems with gift shops, so maybe that's fixed with the modular ones. This comprises, well, a mix of the in-game shelving and some custom ones like this. It's a good balance if you put some of your own in, or mix and match like this one. Plus a variety of the different shelvings, so some circular ones, some taller ones, smaller ones. It's all good when it's mixed together. At the back here, this is all my custom build, and you'll notice the difference with this if you download this blueprint from the workshop, because I couldn't include this because it was over the piece count. Same with the shop counter. This is all repurposed from one of my sorcery builds, and it looks good, but 2-piece heavy, so I've got a replacement in there in the blueprint upload. Doesn't look out of place or anything, so just the basic wood structures. Did squeeze in a rotating weapon rack though. I do enjoy the rotating shelves. Now, like with the other side, this is themed for the shop underneath, so gone with Emporium stuff here. It's kind of like a royal court. This is where all the taxes and the money from the shop goes. Then, okay, I decided against doing a restaurant in here. I felt like that would be too much, so just a small snack zone. The tables fit in well in here. Purple plastic tables. Yeah, I like it. Couple of themed vending machines, and then I've got 3 shops. I think that's 2 food and 1 drink counter. Gone big and bold with King Coaster for the theming above it. Stands out. And that's everything I've managed to squeeze in here. What I will say, the roof in here, that was a nightmare to place because, again, it's a gridded piece. Let me just show you behind the curtain a little bit. So, yeah, this is what I was dealing with trying to place this. Just build pieces everywhere. It does look great though from the interior, so that's why I went with that Viking piece. Oops, getting in someone's way there. Sorry, I will back away. And yeah, let me know what you think of this, exterior and interior. The best castle I've ever made, considering I've only built 2. Thing is, this is only the beginning of the fairy tale themed area. This whole central bit is going to be full of fairy tale stuff. It's just that since I've taken on board feedback that you guys want to see me build stuff, I can't get through quite as much in one episode, so I can't have an entire zone finished off in one episode anymore. So next in this zone at the back of the castle is going to be a flat ride. Do you have one in mind? I won't spoil it, but it should be fun. Might need to extend the moat a bit though. After that, so there's 2 subsections for fairy tale area I'd like to look at, and obviously one of those is going to be a village. I also want to add a woodland bit, so mystical or magic wood, I guess. Oh, and dragons, of course, because we have a kiddie coaster that is dragon themed, so I'm going to have a go at doing that. Anyway, look at the state of all this mess I've still got over here. I lay all the pieces out that I might use, and because I've not finished Sci-fi yet, I haven't been able to get rid of it. Yeah, Sci-fi. We will get there, just not today. I have maybe thought of a solution for that area, but gonna have to do some trials first to see if it works. For now, I'm very pleased we now have a completed castle. There's no longer a placeholder there. And can't forget, we do have another update and a DLC coming in June, so gonna have to think about those as well. It is all going Dream Kingdom once again, and it's good to be back. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next episode.